Okie dokie, I think we're live. Just gonna wait for a couple people to pop on here. Okay, and I'm just trying to set up my area. Right early? I'm a minute early. Look at me, always trying to be early. Sorry. Hi! Trying to find my live video. There we go, so I can look at the comments while I paint. Okay. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I just kind of got the urge today to, paint live and see what you guys are up to. Hi guys. So at any point during this tutorial, you can definitely, jump in and ask questions. I will do my best to answer them. But yeah, I put a poll out on Instagram asking people what they wanted me to paint. I had posted these two watercolors of some animals in the snow. So there was that option, or some more Christmassy stuff. And I think the Christmassy stuff won, but I might squeeze in a winter animal. We'll see. But if you guys have any requests for holiday themed watercolor, jump in now and let me know what you want me to start painting. Yeah, we're just gonna kind of kick off the holiday season with some festive watercolor. So yeah, start letting me know what you want me to paint. Pine trees in the snow. Gotcha. Holly wreaths, pine trees. Cool. Christmas card. I do have a Christmas card tutorial coming out very soon. I'll actually show you what's coming up. I don't know, but it might be this week, might be next week. That's a tutorial coming out soon as well. So I have some Christmas cards that are coming. You said pine cones and I put it there. That are coming out, I think this week. So don't worry. Christmas cards, I got you. Cardinals, I've tried and they're really difficult. But I'm just gonna swing this around and I am going to take requests. And yeah, we're just gonna start painting together, okay? Poinsettia. Okay, hold on. Here is my desk. There we go. I have my iPad right in front of me as well, so I can see what you guys are talking about. Okay, Christmas lights on a wreath. Big red bow. Snowflakes, candy canes, love it. All right. Okay guys, so I have Arches paper with me today, my favorite watercolor paper. For those of you who don't know Arches watercolor paper, this is it. And it is my absolute favorite paper, and in some parts of the world it can be a little bit expensive, but it is definitely worth it. Paper makes a huge difference in your work. So that's my little spiel on that. You don't need it to do this, but it's my favorite kind. Okay, so I'm gonna start off just with a tree because I find a lot of people ask about trees. I do have a tree, like trees in the snow tutorial coming out too, but I will just show you how to do a simple pine tree, okay? So I have sap green here, which I love. It's a nice bright green. And with trees, you want to do layers. You want to work from the lightest to darkest layers, okay? Because you can always darken a color or an object, but you can't always make it lighter. So then here I have Hooker's Green Dark, which will be kind of like my medium color. And then I will darken it with some dioxazine purple after to make it my darkest color. Okay, so I'm gonna take my sap green color, which is gonna be the lightest, and I'm gonna start off by just painting a long, thin line like this, okay? And then closer to the top, you're gonna do little upward slanted strokes, roughly. Okay, don't worry about it being too perfect. But at the top of a pine tree, the pine needles tend to shoot up first and then they make their way falling down. So the first couple at the top I would point upwards just with the tip of your brush, really light pressure, and then slowly using that tip, you're just gonna move them down and try and make it uneven and asymmetrical because it will look more realistic that way. Okay. Okay. So just using the tip of your brush, just, it doesn't have to be like straight line and then like little lines like this. You don't want it to be perfect like that, okay? Just kind of use the tip of your brush to just messily move the lines around. Someone missed it. I am doing just holiday themed watercolor illustrations. Okay. This is a size 6 brush. It's really great to use. And then just make it go out further as you move down. Okay. Just make it messy. Okay. Using our lightest color, which is sap green. You don't have a sap green and you have more like a medium type green, you can always add yellow to get more of that sap green color and to make it a bit more, instead of like my mouth stopped working. Instead of making it like a really bright yellowy green, to tone it down, you can use a bit of orange, which would be great. Kind of gives it like a muted green, which I like. Okay. Hi guys. Okay, I think I got lots of ideas coming in. They're great, and I'm going to try and do as many in an hour as I can, okay? Okay, and then when you get to the bottom of the tree, just bring some of those pine needles out like this. Tip of your brush, messily going back and forth, okay? So I'd say this is more like a full Christmas tree. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with my medium green over here. And this first layer is still wet, so I'm just gonna drop some of that darker green in and just move it around, not everywhere. Closer to the middle, it's gonna be darker, and then underneath some of those areas, okay? Now don't go too crazy because you wanna see that lighter first layer of the green, and you're gonna go in later with an even darker green. Sorry if my mouth isn't working. My words. And if it starts to dry in some areas, that's okay. Just go over it with some more paint and water. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so there's your medium green. Now I'm gonna take some more of that Hooker's Green Dark. I can even mix it in with that sap green I had there before. And then add some dioxazine purple to darken it up. I want it nice and dark, but not too purpley, okay? And it gives you this really nice dark hunter green. And I'm just gonna start dropping in that dark green, especially towards the middle, where that trunk would be, and then underneath. So don't cover all of the pine that you did. Leave some light areas. Just try and go underneath. Just placing it in different spots like that. Okay. Might even bring this up a bit more. That looks a little crazy. Just gonna fill it out. I just had a lot of paint on my brush, so I just took some of it off with water. Excuse me. Okay. Just using the tip of that brush, okay? And then if you want to go in for a second round to make even darker parts, I would do it again. You can wait for it to dry. You know what? I might wait for it to dry and we'll go back in, but I'm just gonna add a bit of darkness. Just a bit. And then we're gonna go back in after too while it's dry. Okay? And then I can just add a bit of brown for the trunk. So I have burnt umber, and I'm just gonna go at the bottom, let it bleed into the green a bit. Now, if the brown really bleeds into it and takes over, that might mean that you have too much paint and water on your brush, okay? And I'm just gonna bring it through just a little bit. You don't have to see a lot of brown. Okay, just a little bit like that, okay? And then we will come back in when it is completely dry and we will add a bit more detail. Okay, so there is a pine tree. I will do a pine tree in the snow on one of my other tutorials, so I'm not gonna do that right now. All right, someone asked for a snowman, and a snowman can be interesting because snow is white and you're painting on white paper, right? So if you've watched my tutorial from a while ago on how to paint white flowers, it will show you there that anything that's white really has some sort of an undertone to it, whether it's from a reflection of something like flowers. So if the flower is beside something green or pink or yellow, it will grab some of the reflection from that color and bring it into the flower. So even just looking at something like this, where it's a white cap, the shadows on it are gray. So my first mix is going to be gray. Okay, so there's always some sort of undertone to painting anything white. So when I'm thinking of the snow, I'm thinking of an undertone of like a gray or a blue. So I already have some blue in here, and I'm just going to add lots of water so you get a very, very, very light wash. Okay. And then if you have a lot of water on your brush and it's dripping, just dry it off on your paper towel. And then you can dip it into stark. So let's start painting. I have tape on my elbow. Okay. Let's start painting a snowman. So really lightly with the tip of your brush, a little circle like that. Okay. You can just paint the outline very, very, very light using just the tip. Okay. This will just help you outline it. Okay. Then you're going to add a bit of water, really light wash, and you're just going to pick a side wherever your shadow is going to be. Okay. So I'm going to do all the shadows on just one side of this snowman. That and like that. I'm going to wash off my brush. Just have a wet brush without color on it, and I'm just going to blend it out. Drag that color out. If you need to wet it again, just drag that color out like this. And it's super subtle, but it's there. And when it dries, it becomes a bit darker. Okay. And you don't even have to do the outline. So you don't even have to have this like line here. You can just do that. Another way to make it white is to paint a background. So you could do with pencil your outline for your snowman and then paint the background first, leaving all that white, and then add some shadows that way. So I want to darken up my shadows just a bit. So I'm going to go back in here, maybe grab a bit more of the blue. I'm just going to tap it on the sides. Don't overwhelm it. And if your first layer has dried and it's not bleeding, just re-wet the whole thing. Wash off your brush with clean water. Re-wet the whole thing so it bleeds well. Okay. Like so. I'm going to drop a little bit of shadow underneath each of the snowballs too, because it would be darker. And again, I'm just washing off my brush and just moving that color around so there's no like sharp lines of shadows. Okay. And then if you wanted to, you can do a ground just by using that same color. Just moving it around. Add a bit more shadow to it if you want down here. Okay. All right. So there is the first layer of our snowman, and you're gonna want to let that dry before you do the detail, okay? I'm gonna move on to something else while I wait for this to dry so I don't hurt your ears with my heat tool. What else do we want to see? Let me just go through. Snowman, gingerbread. I like gingerbread. How did I learn watercolor? I took a couple watercolor workshops and I watched a lot of people on Instagram and, you know, just watched some tutorials. That's how I did it. Okay, let's do, sorry, gingerbread, because I like gingerbread men. They are so yummy, and I make some killer gingerbread cookies. Okay, so for gingerbread men, I am going to take some burnt umber, and I'm just going to make a light wash of it just by adding more water. I'm going to start off with a head, like so. I'm going to fill it in. You can always draw an outline with a pencil first if you prefer. Then I'm going to do the arms. They're going to come right out from under the head. They don't really have necks. Like that. Slope the body down on either side and fill it in so you don't get that harsh line of the outline, because if the watercolor dries and then you go over top of it, it might leave an outline. I have little dots on here, I don't know why. There we go. One foot. Two foot. Okay. Okay. And now before I go in and add my darker shadows, I just want to make sure the whole thing is wet so it takes the wet on wet bleeding the way I want it to, okay? Because if it's starting to dry in certain areas, it won't give that effect all that it has. So I'm just gonna take my water, go over the whole thing again. I don't do this if I'm just doing small areas at a time, but I do if it's a bigger thing. Okay, so now it's all wet. I'm gonna go back in with my darker, just like pure burnt umber, and I'm gonna go around the edges. I feel like it's a little dark, but that's okay. And you can drag some of that color out. And then for this, what I also like to use is white ink for the icing on top. So if you have white gouache or white watercolor that you can, you know, pick a lot of paint up with, so it's not too transparent, it's more opaque, that would work well. If you have a white gel pen, that works well too. I might just make it a bit darker in some areas. Like so. And all of these can be done on Christmas cards too. So if you're doing like a batch of Christmas cards, this would be great to kind of do first layers at a time, let them dry, move on to something next, and then you can go back. Oops, sorry, my camera. Then you can go back to letting it, or doing the second layer once they're all dry. Okay. So really stop whenever you want, whatever you think looks good. We're gonna let that dry like that. And we're gonna move on to something else. Is this dry yet? No, it's not completely dry. Okay, hot cocoa mittens. Let's else? Poinsettia. That is something that I've had a difficulty with. I was just fooling around and trying this before. I'm not really a fan of poinsettias. I don't really like them, and I find that they're kind of difficult to paint, or it's difficult to paint something you don't really like. Snowflakes, angels. Yes, I'm using Arches paper for this. Someone asked if there was a place where my followers post their art from what they've learned. Instagram. I have a lot of people that follow me on Instagram, and they like to share their work with me too, and I love seeing it. So if you're not on Instagram, just go, because it's great, and it's a great community. Let's do a cute present. Let's just do it because I want to. Okay. Let me just. Okay. We're gonna do a present, and I'm gonna do a brown present. It's gonna be cute though. Just trust me, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna start off by painting a square, and by square I mean a rectangle. I know my shapes, I promise. Yeah, sorry, I had to think for a second. Okay, rectangle. Yes. I was trying to think of what way I was going with this. Okay, I'm just gonna fill that in with a light wash. Okay. And then I'm gonna do a slant this way and do one that's parallel to that line. Okay, and then connect them. If you would rather do this with a pencil and a ruler, you can do that too. Okay, and then you're gonna have another line just like that one. It's on the same slant over here. You're gonna connect that. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we're just making sure it's all wet. I dropped a lot of water there. Oops. It's all good. I'm just gonna take a dry brush and just soak up some of that water. Okay. And I'm gonna go back in with more color, more brown. Okay, and I'm just gonna go over those lines. And yeah, it's gonna bleed, and that's okay. You kind of want that wet on wet effect. Okay, might do it again. We're just adding shadows to this box. Trust me, I know it looks like a brown box and it's just like, well, that's not Christmassy. It will look Christmassy. Something I love about brown craft paper wrapped up with some ribbon or something. Okay. Do that after. Again, we're gonna wait for that to dry. And then let's pick one more thing to paint before we go back in and do all the detail. What is one more thing? Holly and berries. Okay, I actually am having a lot, like, I'm doing tutorials on this coming up. I'll do a quick small one, more like holly shaped. Those ones are more like mistletoe. So I'm gonna take my green here Okay. And I'll show you a very simple way to do some holly. That's okay. You are going to draw a line, okay, with the tip of your brush using very light pressure. Okay, so this is the tip of the holly. You're going to bring it down, scoop up, not as far as the tip. Bring it down, scoop up, down, scoop up a little bit more, and then connect it at the bottom. Do the same thing on the other side. Down, scoop up, down, scoop up, down, scoop up. Ta-da. Okay. Now you're going to fill it in with a light wash. You can even leave a little bit of white space to where that line is. I feel like it needs to be a bit more sappy green. Fill it in with a light wash. Okay, so you have your first light wash here, and then you're going to go back in with some more paint, just mixing some Hooker's Green Dark and some sap green, and I'm just going to go around the edge of this holly like that. I feel like I want it to be a bit darker. I'm going to grab some of that darker. You can go along the middle. You can just bring some really light lines down. Add some more darkness in those little scoops areas. Yeah, I'm calling them scoops. Like that. And then if you didn't want, here, it's already pretty dry and on there. Let's see if I can take some of that up. Nope, okay. Well, it's fine. We're gonna put some berries. You can wait for it to dry first if you want. I'm just gonna take some cadmium red deep. Gonna see if I can cover some of that up. Okay, I'm gonna do circle there, circle there, circle there. Fill it in with a lighter wash. Not too much water because you don't want it to be like a little puddle. You just want the paper to be wet. I would have maybe done the berries first next time, so the holly's more underneath, like that. And then you're just gonna go back in with direct paint and darken up one side of those berries. And then if you have the white ink after, when it's completely dry, you can add a highlight on those berries. Okay, and then I will show you how you can do the holly around it. Hold on. Or like those leaves around it. But you want to do it once it's dry. You don't want it to bleed into each other. Okay. And then we'll do one more. One more. How about that? Candy canes. Candy canes. Cool. That's what I see. Candy canes. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what we are going to do. Last one is candy canes. And then we will start adding some detail. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it's going to be a red, white, and green candy cane. But because there's white in there, I'm going to start by using this really light wash of this blue that we used for the snowman, okay? And I'm going to draw my outline of my candy cane with this blue. Like that, okay? And then I am going to, okay, yeah, I'll start with the colors. So I'm going to grab a lighter wash of red, and I'm going to start doing some stripes, okay? And there'll be green in between. That's too close, but it's okay. Not always the same amount of space. because these ones are on a curve, it's like more pointed towards this middle curve where it would be. Does that make sense? Okay. Keep going. Now, if your paper dries too fast, you might want to go back in and add the darkness right now, while I'm about to show you. But if you have paper that stays wet for a little bit longer, like arches, like any kind of 100% cotton paper, you can usually get away with doing all the stripes in one bit and then going back in and adding darkness. Or you can just go back and wet it up again, because you are going to take in more paint, so more red, and you're going to go on one side and drop that red. Drop it over here, here, where the shadows would be. So the light source is coming from here, let's pretend. So it would hit this part and then this inner part here. I'm just going to make it darker on that one side. Now if it's leaving harsh lines, like see this one, it's not really bleeding as much as I like, wash off your brush completely, dry it on your paper towel, and then just gently move it along a bit so it blends a little bit more evenly and it's not as much of a harsh line. Okay, like that. Okay, now you are going to do green. So I'm going to take some green. Oh, I still had red on my brush. This will not be on Instagram. I mean, I can take a picture of what it is. Yeah, but the video will not be on Instagram. Okay, so we're just going back in, adding the green. Like I said, if your paper dries fast, you can add that dark bits right away. But it's bleeding into my red. Oops, it's all good. I can fix that later. Sorry if you guys are asking questions and I'm not really answering. I feel like when I'm painting sometimes I'm on a time crunch, so my paper doesn't dry and I don't look up as often, but I will go back and scroll through questions. Light wash. Like that. Go back in with your darker green. Hit up those shadowed spots. Oops. You can do a little bit on this side if it's a really light wash like mine. Okay, like that. Like that. Okay. And then we will add a bit more shadow on the white part later once it's dry. Okay. Other watercolor artists do I recommend beginners to watch? I think her name is Mako Chino. She's terrific. I just stumbled across her videos recently and she has so much, she just knows so much about paint and watercolor and all kinds of paint, but she has great tips and stuff, so I definitely recommend her. Okay, this is dry. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take my heat tool and I'm going to just dry everything just so I can make sure it's 100% dry. So cover your ears or mute if you need to. Okay. Now looking at this tree, I would have liked a bit more what was I saying? Just a bit more contrast between the light and the dark. I don't know where I was going with that. So I might have not gone in so much with the dark right away. I would have liked to leave a bit more lighter washes, but next time, now we know, right? Okay, so now I'm going to mix up my dark color again. Using Hooker's Green Dark and Dioxazine Purple. So you get a nice dark green, okay? And now I'm just going to what's it called? Messily put in some dark bits just by using my tip of my brush. Just going around kind of underneath those lighter areas, creating some depth. Not really in a specific order, just kind of messily doing it. Don't make it too symmetrical. Don't make it too, like, just try not to worry too much about it. Just like plot darker areas, especially towards the middle, I think, right? And leave some of those outer parts lighter. Need to make a bit more darker paint. Especially underneath this part. Like that. And that adds even more depth, okay? I'll just give you a little bit of a close-up. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's move on to our snowman. So our snowman, the details for the face and stuff, you might want to use a smaller brush. I have a size 2 here as well, but I'm going to use my size 6 for his hat. So I am going to, just do black hat. So I'm going to do the brim of the hat here. It's a little slanted. Make it a bit thicker. And I'm going to do boxed hat, that. Actually, you know what? I might put some snow on the top of that. So I'm just going to do an outline of some snow a bit. And I'm just going to fill in. Oh, no, I wanted to do a ribbon too. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I'm just going to leave a space there because I'm going to do a ribbon after. Oh. So I'm just filling this part in like that. I'm going to take some more black paint. And the shadow's on this side of the snowman, so I'm going to do a shadow on this side of the hat. Make it darker on one side. Had a bit too much water there, so I'm just moving it back a little. And I'm just curving it in a little bit and then leaving a little bit of the head out so it looks like it's actually on his head, if that makes sense. And grab some more black even. And darker underneath the snow. You're wishing for some snow over there. I will gladly give you some of ours. Okay, there is part of the hat. We will do the snow on top of the hat after. Let's move on to the eye. So I'm just going to do 2 small eyes. Again, you can use a smaller brush. Black eye, a black eye here. Leave room for the nose, and I'm just going to do tiny little dots for the mouth, like that. Should he be wearing a scarf? Yes, he should be wearing a scarf, but I'm going to do buttons first And obviously you can do this however you want, colors, shapes, whatever. No wrong way to do it. Okay, I'm gonna grab some orange, cadmium orange here, and I'm just going to paint his carrot nose, like so. Maybe add a bit of brown in there, especially towards the bottom. Get a bit like a shadow, like that. Okay, going to create a scarf. Let's do like a red scarf. Like so. Add a bit more paint to that one side to create a shadow. I think the trick to making anything look a bit more realistic or have depth is just using those light washes and then going back in with the darker color after, or the more paint, okay? It really adds something to it. And then some hands. We need some hands. If you have unsteady hands, it's perfect for the sticks because they need to be unsteady anyway. Like that. Just gonna add a bit. There we go. Even add a bit of brown to get some more shadow on that scarf. Okay. And then I'm just gonna add that white, and by white I mean that bluish tinge shadow to the snow on top of his hat. Like that. Oh, and I wanted to make that ribbon a thing. I'm just gonna fill it in. Make sure that hat is dry first before you do this, and try not to add too much water to your brush so it doesn't bleed into each other like crazy. Darken that one side. And there you go, snowman. And if you want to make this a bit like the ground a bit more, what's it called? You know, defined. I'm just gonna go underneath my snowman with some blue like this. It's pretty dark, but that's okay. Like that. And I'm gonna take my clean wet brush and just blend it out going down. And it looks like a shadow. Ta-da. Okay. You can always add a bit more shadow too on the snowman if you want. Do the same thing. A line, wash off your brush, dry it, and then blend it out. Like that. Okay? Snowman. Done. Holly. Okay, let's add a bit more depth just to these berries. I'm just going to make it darker on one side, basically. Add a bit of black. You could add a bit of green to your red to make it a darker red if you want. I'm just going on one side. Nothing special for this, really. I'm going to dry off my brush and just drag it out a bit. And then if you have white ink, I really like to use this white ink, Dr. Paige Martin's Bleed Proof White. I use it actually quite a lot. I think it's great. And you can just add a little bit of sparkle there. And if you want to add another holly or like the leaf, I'll just show you. So do the berries first and just go behind it, okay? So do that line down the middle and the swoops. Unplug it. We'll go to a point here, like that. My dog is barking. I don't know what he wants. Again, light wash. like so. I should be having Christmas music playing in the background. What was I thinking? Come on. Actually, no, it's probably a good idea I don't, because then I would just be singing with it and I wouldn't be explaining what I'm doing. Just can't help it, guys. Okay, and there you go. There's your holly. You can obviously have the leaf like pointing different ways. I just did it that way because that's where my paper is. Okay, gingerbread man time. Make sure he is in frame. Okay, gingerbread man. For this, I am going to be using my white ink again, okay? So this is very easy. I'm just going to create some squiggles. I'm just making this very easy, classy gingerbread man. Squiggles on his arms. Squiggles on his legs. Like so. Okay, and then we'll do some black eyes. We can do a white mouth, like this. We'll do some red buttons. But yeah, very, very simple. That. And then we are going to add a bit of shadow to this. I will show you, but we're going to have to wait for it to dry again. So just hold on. Just finish this part. Okay. Button. Like that. And I'm going to wait for that to dry, so we'll work on this while we're at it. Okay. So this package looks pretty boring. Am I right? There's nothing to it. We're going to add a bit more shadow. We're going to add a string and some like pine on it. It's going to be cute. Okay. So first I'm going to go in with my brown and I'm just going to sharpen up those edges a little bit. Just outlining it in my burnt umber. And if you want to soften out those edges, you can just go over it with a wet, clean brush. Soften it out a bit. Okay, maybe darken one side a bit more. It's using a very, very light wash, okay? Oh, just hit my head on my light, okay. Oh man. Okay. I just get too excited and I move around a lot. It's fine. Okay. Okie dokie, there we go. Now, you're gonna wanna make sure that is dry. Actually, hold on, I'm gonna do a bit more detail, like where the package would be folded. It's okay if it bleeds a little because it's kind of blurry anyway. There's tape there, like that, okay? Okay. I'm gonna blend it out a bit. Okay. I just wanna make sure that's dry. Gonna wait a minute. Biggest thing with watercolor is patience. If you go back in too soon and it's not completely dry, you can totally mess it up. Okay, this is dried. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna add, I just dropped water, add some more of that white shadow along one side. I need my bigger brush. So again, that really light blue. And I'm just going to go over one side like that, where the shadow is. And you're going over the green and the red with this blue. So it looks like there's a shadow. Now, if you are using cheaper watercolors, I'm gonna warn you that it could pull the color off the paper. So just keep that in mind, okay? Now I'm just gonna wet or clean off my brush, wet it, then I'm going to blend that out just a bit. I don't want such a harsh edge. Go back in, make it a bit darker again. Like that. And it just makes it pop. Okay? Cool, huh? All right. Okay, that's still wet. This should be fine now. Yes, okay. So now I'm gonna take my tiny brush. I'm gonna take my red and I'm just gonna paint a string. And the string coming up over top here will be in line with those angles right there. Okay? You can do the same thing here if you want it to go all the way around like this. Again, has to be same angle as where the box is. Right? Like that. And then I am going to add some white little lines on there once it's dry, but I want to add a bit of pine sprigs. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to touch the red. Draw a line above him. I touched it. I touched it, guys. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Don't do what I did. It's okay. And I'm just going to draw paint using the tip of my brush, a really light pressure. Some pine. Like that. Okay, there's another one. Okay. Like that. Okay. Red. It's all good because I'm going to go back over with some white after anyway. Okay. Just adds a little something, but it's like a classy little package. And then for this one, it's just this button that's still dry or still wet. 1 second. I'm just going to dry it really quickly. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a really, really light wash of my burnt umber, and I'm just going to add a bit of shadow under each part of this these icing little bits. Where's that wetness coming from that I keep touching? Okay, so like under here, under the smile, just really, really light under the eye, under the button. Now it's not much, but it just adds a little bit more depth. Makes it a bit more 3D, like that icing is popping off. I don't know if you can tell. Like that. Ta-da! I'll show you up close in just a second. Okay, I'm just gonna add a little bit of a highlight there and there. Then I'll show you what that gingerbread man looks like up close. That shadow just adds a little something extra. And now we will add some white to the string here. It's still a little wet. It's fine. It's fine. Guys, it's fine. Try and do this when it's dry. But I feel like I'm running out of time. I have like 5 minutes left. And I want to look at some of the comments and questions and answer you guys. Okay, and so there you go. There are your illustrations. And you know what's great is if you use some like really good quality paper, what you can do is cut these out. Sorry. Oops, it's falling out. And get some, like a big pack of cards from Michael's that come with the envelopes and the cards. And you can cut these out and slap them on a card and it's a Christmas card, okay? So just do it on one sheet of paper and cut them out and whatever you need to do. Here are some close-ups. Okay? So just have fun with it and do not be shy. Oh, orientation is locked. Yep, see, I'm watching you guys. Okay, hi. That was not attractive. I love when the camera does that, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna go through some of these comments. I just wanna make sure that I'm not missing anybody's questions. I'm just gonna go back to the top just in case I missed anything. You guys are so kind, and thank you guys so much for watching. You know, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you guys for being so kind and encouraging and loyal and loving and, you know, all that good stuff. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anyone's questions. And if you guys ever do have questions, you know, message me on Instagram. I find that is the easiest way to get a hold of me, and you guys can share your work with me. I love seeing it. Tons of people do, and I have lots of conversations with people on there. It's just so much easier to connect with people. So yeah, an angel. Oh, I'll try to do one soon. Okay. I have like 3 minutes. Okay. I don't know if I see any other questions, but yeah. Okay. Any other little things? I'll just let you know what's coming up. So I have a video tomorrow coming out on floral composition, which has been like highly requested. So I have that coming out tomorrow. And then I did have like a coffee tutorial coming out on Wednesday, but I might move some of my Christmas stuff up just so people can get their stuff out sooner and save that one for the new year. Yes, this will be available on YouTube. It's going to be on my page, guys. I'm just going to save it for you. And I have a lot of other fun things coming up. I have a really cute Volkswagen Beetle with a tree on top that's coming up. The Christmas cards I showed you. Tutorial. I have gift tags, Christmas gift tags that are coming up. I have, and I'm going to do, there's a painting that I did and I put it on my Instagram of a fox in the snow and a bear in the snow, and people wanted to know how to paint those, so I will do those too. Tomorrow is my filming day. I'm actually excited. But yeah. Yep. That's about it. I think I'm gonna go before I just keep talking. Thank you guys so much. You're not taking. Where can you find pictures of my finished tutorials? Instagram. You know, it's funny. I have a lot more followers on YouTube rather than Instagram, which I understand. I find a lot of people who watch my tutorials are around my mom's age, and it was kind of like, you know, really trying to push her to get on Instagram. She's like, I don't want to learn anything new. And I'm like, too bad, you're going to do it. If you're not on Instagram, if you're intimidated of Instagram, you're just like, why? They're just pictures. I'm telling you right now, the community on there, the inspiration on there, that's where I started. I would get so many ideas, and I watched like 1-minute videos of people like just painting. It's such a great community. Everyone's so positive. You can look at all my stuff on there. It's also a lot easier to message me on there, and, you know, we can share work back and forth. I always respond on Instagram. You know, it's a lot easier to communicate. So if you're not on it, just give it a try. I really highly suggest it. So, you know, head on over there and follow me. And I'd love to talk to you guys because I love talking to people. I think I'm done now. Okay. All right. Have a great day, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and bye.